your input, your advice, your counsel. It's greatly respected by me, as are all my neighborhood councils, all 8 within CD11 that are involved in many different issues. And I appreciate everybody here for staying. I appreciate all those who came and left. And I just appreciate your honest, thoughtful dialogue among yourselves. My hope is this. We are a pilot program. We are pioneers. I just think that she said it all about birthing of a baby, okay? This is what you do when you're trying to make change. We're not here to hurt anybody. We're to see those who want help to help. Those who don't want help, we got the laws that are there too. So we'll take it one step at a time. I urge Venice to be part of the solution of locations which are just temporary as a process to permanent housing. Look, I got the 50 vouchers. No one gave them to me. And if I told you how hard it is to get a voucher, you'd appreciate the fact that I walked into this program with 50 vouchers. Right. PATH needed those vouchers so we could make the program happen. And I do have access to more vouchers if I feel people are going to work responsibly to make this happen. That's why I hired PATH. PATH has a professional track record of dealing with these issues. People in cars and campers are much easier fit than they are the folks in the alleys and on the beach and every other aspect of homelessness.
Bill, I believe everything you say.
Well, that's why I stand up for kids.
But I didn't ask that question.
The question is, would I go forward with it or not? I haven't made up my mind. That's why I'm here. I have the responsibility to all of my folks in this district to do an equitable program. And if Venice doesn't feel that they need to provide a lot because that's how Venice feels, that's what Venice will do. I'm not going to tell you how to vote.
I'm not asking you to tell me how to vote. I'm asking you if you won't proceed if we voted against it.
He said he's going to think about it.
I just gave you my answer.
He said he's going to think about it.
It shouldn't be dependent on what Rosendahl thinks. It should be dependent upon what you, as representative leaders of people in this community, feel. You feel like you need to do something? That's why you're all sitting here tonight. So I am not going to overwhelm anybody with my authority and responsibility. I think that's your responsibility to answer that question.
Believe me, you wouldn't overwhelm me with your...
Let's go.
Can I call for a point of order?
What's your point of order? And then pass it to someone else.
Preacher came up with a statement that said this is a matter of trust. And I agree with that. And I want to be able to trust Rosendahl and his staff. And
Joe, can you speak to the motion, please? Are you going to speak to voting for it or voting against?
I'd like to make my comment.
How many of you been making comments all night?
The problem that has plagued me all along has been the procedural issues and how we bring these issues before this board.
Come on, Gaddafi.
Right now.
Can I ask that the audience be told not to interrupt?
Audience, please don't interrupt. But Joe, I think what you're hearing is people want you to finish this thought.
I know that, but I'm a member of the board and I have the right to communicate without being interrupted.
People, be respectful, please. And we'll move it. The sooner we're respectful, the sooner we'll move on.
Now I've kind of lost track of what I was going to say. Maybe that's what the intent is of the interruptions.
He is stalling while 8502 doesn't work. That's what's going on here. Put a timeline.
It has been a matter of procedure. We can do better, and this board can do it better on the procedure. And we have to look at the mistakes we've made and begin to address those with procedures that will deal with them. And we haven't done that, and I think that's why we're in this box we're in right now. We do have to build trust, and I don't think that we can do that if we continue with this procedure that has brought us to this point. I do believe that Mike Bonin and Bill Rosendahl are taking all of the, shall we say, I don't know how to describe it, taking all of the flack on this particular issue, and it is difficult. And I do think that they need flexibility, and that flexibility will be based on trust. And so I'm agreeing with David Ewing. There's more that I'd like to say, but with all the interruptions, I've lost track of the train of thought.
Thank you, Joe. Okay, anyone else have to say something before we vote? Jen, go for it.
I'll try and be brief. The process is flawed. We all know it's flawed. We've heard many times no one's going to get what they want. We're in very harsh times, and trust is a very, very precious commodity now. We're going to, I realize our process is doing really badly right now. I understand and I agree with much of what Joe says about this, as frustrated as he sometimes makes so many of us. No question about that. I'm taking a slight leap of faith in my belief that the process and procedure must go in a certain way in order for this to happen correctly. The Penmar thing, I have the same problem with everyone who says this hasn't been vetted properly for a long enough time. My judgment, and this is part of why I'm here, my judgment here as a board member is that, you know, we're going to have to say go at some point. We're going to have to trust somebody. We're going to have to trust the people who are the professionals, the people who have been beating their heads against the wall, who had knives in their backs, who've been beaten down so much by so many people because we have such a hard time. We've been going through these last 3 years leading up to it, and it's not going to get easier fast. It's going to get easier slowly, and only with a lot of hard work that we all put into it. Yes, we should improve the procedure. Yes, we should monitor the flexibility, make sure that as we see failures that happen in the program, they get monitored very closely. We also should look at the successes that the program should go in. Successes should maintain the same type and speed of flexibility as the program moves forward. But you're going to see successes, and I guarantee you, those successes are all going to be based on trust. That's why I'm going to vote for this.
Okay, Mike, or Scott, would you want to? 30 seconds, you can do it, right? Okay.
I know there's been a lot of work done on this, and it's been going on for years. Obviously, before I even became a member of this board. But I really do have a problem with what's being said and what's being forced on the people from Penmar. It feels like a compromise. It feels like a compromise to them. An infringement to them based on something that you're trying to make work in Venice because you feel like that's the thing to do. And I have to vote no because I just, I don't believe that this has been vetted properly.
Thank you, Scott. Mike.
Without belaboring the point, I wouldn't vote on this based on what other councils are doing necessarily. I wouldn't vote on it based on what's been done over the last several years. The reason why I would support it is because at a certain point we got to take a chance on something. I think this is a good shot, and I think the way to moderate that is simply to ask the council's office, ask PATH to make sure that for Penmar, I think it makes sense that cars don't come in until the facility is closed. I think it makes sense to say that cars are gone before the facility is open. I think that's a reasonable safeguard. At a certain point, you just got to give it a chance. The second thing I would say is that this body needs to do a very good job of monitoring the situation, listening to our neighbors in Penmar, and if there are problems, then reevaluating its approval of it and maybe pulling that back. But I think let's give it a shot. Let's give it a try.
Okay. Mark.
Okay, Mike, I've been waiting all night to ask these questions, so I'm going to do it really fast in hopes that you can answer them for me.
I'll do my best.
And I know that this first one was mentioned earlier, but I can't remember what the number is, so I want to ask you again. How many vehicular dwellers currently reside in Venice? What's the number?
I'm going to let Rudy answer that question, because I don't remember my phone number right now.
Okay.
Right. Presently, there's, from what we've counted, is less than 45.
Less than 45?
Less than 45.
Okay. And so between the three lots, we've got 24 spots, right? And it's less than 45, maybe 40. So my question then is, what happens to those folks who want to participate in the program, but there isn't a spot for them to go in those 3 lots?
If there are folks who are eligible for the program,
Right.
but there is not a spot for them, PATH will continue to do outreach to them. They will continue to provide case management to them. They will continue to try to process housing vouchers, but there won't be a safe place for them to park at night. And so they will not be covered by the program. When I spoke earlier and I said that this program does not go far enough, that's an example of how it does not yet go far enough.
So then those people who are not part of the program, who are eligible and want to participate, but they're on a waiting list or what have you, what happens to them then in this community? Do they have to leave at night? Do they get a ticket?
They stay home.
They'll be subject to the police enforcement of 8502, and I presume that they will seek to park in areas that don't.
Right. Okay. I just wanted to make sure that we were clear about that. And then the last piece that I had is about engaging the public, because one of the common themes that I've heard throughout this evening is that people have said no matter where they fall on this issue, that they want to hear from the council member's office. And what we're seeing and what we've seen in some issues similar or different to this is that it sounds like at least people are feeling that they hear about it after the fact. So my question to you and to Councilmember Rosendahl is, moving forward, is there any discussion on bringing our community and other communities into the process sooner? And if so, what is that and what would that look like? If there isn't, then why?
First of all, I want to state that this is still early in the process. The council had asked that we put stuff in writing. The council a couple weeks ago said we really would like to see a Venice lot. I asked 3 or 4 times the council to make a recommendation on that lot. None was forthcoming, so our office worked with LAPD and came up with a proposal. Once it was solidified, we put it into writing, we put it out here for public discussion, and there will be continued public discussion of it before it gets to the council for a vote. If there are other issues, we're happy to address those individually, and if there are other ideas for greater community engagement and greater community notification, we're certainly willing to have a discussion about that. We can even make it a separate agenda item at some meeting.
Okay, that's it. Thank you.
There's a hiccup, yeah.
No, but I have been asked to make sure that we don't vote until Hugh gets back on the head. So, first of all, to a comment to the backbenchers, as they would be called in the legislature in England. If the rules about being inspected and having to be checked on how well you're participating and adhering to the rules don't suit you, don't participate. Then 8502 kicks in, and that solves its own problem. Or drive yourself. If you do want, the people who are scared to death that this is going to turn into, you've got that option. The fact of the matter is that we're not, I don't believe, knuckling under to Westchester. We're not knuckling under to West LA. I'm not knuckling under to Los Angeles County. And frankly, I'm not knuckling under to East Venice. A comment was made earlier about whether most of the people up here are representing the west of Lincoln. Well, frankly, most of the people who have been sitting back in that corner haven't been to a meeting until this one because you didn't think we had anything to do with you. Wake up and smell the cat food. Maybe you'll be back. 3. This is the second largest city in the United States. There is no city of Venice, hasn't been since the 20s. Get over it. This is the second largest city in North America, and that man over there is one of 15 members of its city council, and he has sat here with his chief of staff and his local representative through 3 of these meetings. And believe me, 4 hours is more than enough for me. He's been here through almost 12 hours of these. If that's not an establishment of trust, if that's not a demonstration of respect, if that's not an example of why we have these neighborhood councils and why we, quite frankly, are lucky to have him. Now, he's an elected guy and he screws up but he's down here showing us that this means something and he's willing to listen to us, so we better goddamn say something. And Phyllis, you can kiss my ass. Now, and last but not least, we get to the situation we find ourselves in.
Why is he saying that? That's not right. That's not right. He can't be talking like that.